My Lords, thank you. My Lords, I am a signatory to 128C. It bears my name, and I declare again here my former role as an immigration minister in this country. And I can't really see, and I hope I'm right, that the minister, my noble friend the minister, or indeed the government, could refuse to accept this amendment, which seems to be completely in line, as my noble friend Lady Stroud has said a few minutes ago, with declared policies and positions of the government. I do, however, want to clarify with my noble friend the whole question of definitions, because I think there's a muddle here, as there has been in a number of interpretations by the government, as to what precisely is meant by safe and legal routes. They seem sometimes to be declaring that these include programs that are organized by others, such as the United Nations. I was responsible for the 1996 United Nations Bosnian resettlement program, very much an important part of the work of this country, working with international agencies, and indeed, in specific cases, finding special programs so that we can accommodate those who need to flee from areas of repression or aggression. I think that's really a good thing for this country, and I hope that we will always take that approach. But that is not the same as providing facilities in a wide part of the world, where perhaps there is not a well-known conflict going on, but where nevertheless there are individuals who meet the criteria of the 1951 Refugee Convention, but have no way whatsoever of being able to claim asylum in this country. And I just want to go back, if I may, for a moment or two, to the history of how we used to deal with this. Of course, I'm sure my noble friends will know, noble members will know, that actually before 2011 or thereabouts, applications, my noble friend the minister will clarify, applications could be made through United Kingdom embassies and consulates in other parts of the world. And indeed, in the earlier discussion just now, we were talking about specifying safe and legal routes. I would argue against that to some extent, because if we are going to specify on a discriminatory basis certain places where these routes might be opened, we're falling into the same trap that I've just explained, where programs may well be available through the United Nations or others. And therefore, if we are going to introduce these routes, they ought to be introduced widely. Certainly back in the International Journal of Refugee Law, which quoted in 2004, giving me some of the history here, in early 2002 it said, 6 European states formally accepted asylum applications or visa applications on asylum-related grounds at their embassies. They were Austria, Denmark, France, the Netherlands, Spain, and the United Kingdom. It seems to me, my lords, that things have changed, because when we got to 2011, a statement was, I don't know whether it was made or printed or referred to, and I do just quickly want to read this. As a signatory to the 1951 Refugee Convention, the United Kingdom fully considers all asylum applications lodged in the UK. However, the UK's international obligations under the Convention do not extend to the consideration of asylum applications lodged abroad, and there is no provision in our immigration rules for someone abroad to be given permission to travel to the United Kingdom to seek asylum. The policy guidance on the discretionary referral to the UK Border Agency of applications for asylum by individuals in a third country who have not been recognised as refugees by another country or by the UNHCR under its mandate has been withdrawn. Now, that evidence is quite interesting, my lords, because at some point, and again my noble friend will have it all available to tell us, at some point we made a clear decision to reverse what had been practice for many, many years. And certainly when I was minister, it was the practice that we did have the ability in our embassies and consulates, people who had the discretion to be able to consider at first instance a refugee application, an asylum application. And I am recommending strongly to my noble friend that we reintroduce this, if for no other reason than to comply with the statements that the government has made clearly that we can avoid the arguments and stop those boats by having a process which has a safe and legal route. And finally, I just want to mention that I think I'm not alone in this, because already in debates in the other place, a number of my colleagues, my honourable friends, have referred to it. And I want to particularly refer to the honourable member, David Simmons, who said, "We must also not be afraid to look at and explore innovative solutions. For example, we could give asylum seekers the chance to have their applications processed in British embassies around the world." And he then goes on, I don't quite agree with his last bit, or perhaps online. I have to tell you that really, as far as I'm concerned, it is important in order to meet the terms of the Convention that these things are done on a face-to-face and personal basis. Online doesn't appeal on this, but although I'm sure the technology is being pressed on us, I certainly would not suggest for a moment that we introduced AI in such decisions. But also, my honourable friend Pauline Latham, who's also spoken of her support for the processing of asylum claims at British embassies. My lords, there are some very simple, I know this is a complex bill, and I haven't spoken in the committee stage before. I believe very strongly, however, that there are solutions here which would satisfy the government's determination and all our determinations to stop the suffering of people who cross the channel in those boats. But let's be pragmatic, let's be sensible about it, and let's use the resources which we have available and are wasting in so many other ways on these matters. Let's use those resources and focus our attention on providing those safe and legal routes at the very places around the world where the United Kingdom has its presence and has its representation.
My Lords, I'm very glad to follow the noble Lord and the very interesting contribution that he's just given.